Hi there, this is Mark Killian. Welcome to Killian's Kitchen. On this episode, I'm going to show you how I do steak. Now, my favorite is ribeye, but it can be any steak. And for me, it's all in the prep. And what I'm going to be using is salt, pepper, roasted coriander, and a very hot fire. But before we start with that, what are we drinking? A glass with ice, Campari, which is an Italian liqueur based on oranges. Pour 2 or so fingers in. Some carbonated water. Now, I have a soda stream machine so I can control how much carbonation goes on. I make it extremely carbonated. I make the machine fart 3 times. Orange juice. Now, usually I have, well, you can use any kind. I usually have fresh oranges, but in this case, this is unpasteurized. It's still good. And just a splash of that goes in there. And then the magic ingredient, jalapeño. I'm just going to slice a little bit longwise like that, just so that the slices are bigger. I'm going to do 2 slices. This jalapeno is fairly hot. And get my mixer. Look at that. This, my friends, is called a Benoni. I am from a town called Benoni in South Africa, very close to Johannesburg, and this reminds me of Benoni because there was a Campari advert that we used to have when we were kids on television. They used to make fun of people from Benoni, and I remember that very well. And the jalapenos are kind of just the added Mexican influence that my life has had the pleasure of having in it for the last 10 or so years. And so this is kind of my drink, bottoms up. Now for the meat. Here's the trick. I've had this out here for 2 hours now, turning it again and again, so that before I even start doing anything, this is room temperature, and you can already, smell the bacteria at work there. That's exactly what you want. I know it sounds gross. Now, for the salt. You want to be liberal with your salt. So you want every inch of the steak covered. And you want to do this carefully. This is the important part. You miss a section and you might have a bite that just doesn't live up to the rest of the steak. Now that we have the salt in there, next is the pepper. Now, important, get this as rough as you can. I want little bits of pepper in there, and I'll show you why in 1 second. And again, I want to be liberal. I am a liberal. And you want a lot of pepper on there. I mean, I love pepper. Why not? Now, this is the thing that sort of makes South African cuisine what it is, in my opinion, is coriander. So coriander is a big part of the South African taste profile. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to coat this guy in coriander. But look, this coriander is whole. And I have roasted this in the oven at about 420 for something like 10-15 minutes until it starts going dark. And you really start smelling it. It's roasted curry. It's beautiful. I'm going to put this in my mortar and pestle here. And I'm not going to crush this down to a powder. I'm going to sort of do a half-assed job of it. The whole idea here is that you want these husks. You see all those husks in there? There's no whole coriander there anymore, but there's a lot of rough husks. That is exactly what you want. Now I'm just going to sprinkle that over there. And again, I'm being liberal. Basically, you're giving this steak a coating. Now just look at that. That is a lovely coating. Now, what I'm going to do is pat it down. I'm going to pat everything in there. And now you will understand why it's important to leave the husks intact on the coriander, to have the pepper on the widest thing so that you get nice big chunks, because look at that. I patted that down. That stuff has gone into the steak. I'm going to do the same to this one. If I just turned this one up, half that shit would fall off. But on this one, it's not going anywhere. Look at that. It's in the steak now. And that's exactly where you want it. Your steaks are ready to be cooked. So I'm going to go and turn the grill on outside. I'm going to turn it on to the hottest setting possible. If you're on a real fire with coal or wood, even better. You really want this as hot as possible. Heat is the essence, because you want to almost burn, almost char this into the flesh, and the middle should be almost red. And it's beautiful, that contrast between the almost charred outsides, almost charred with peppercorns and roasted coriander bits, going into the middle of the steak, which is still red and almost medium rare. Beautiful thing. So get your grill really, really hot, and we'll see you outside. Cheers. Okay, so we're outside here, and my grill or my braai of choice is the Weber 4-burner. This guy I've had on for about 15-20 minutes on full burner, and it gets up to close to 600, which is plenty. And now what I'm going to do, just before I put these steaks on there, is I'm going to drizzle just a tiny bit of olive oil on there and pat it down onto the top. Now, let's grab the tongs, and we are ready to put these guys on. So we're going to do this face down. The side I just put the oil on is going to go down. Bam. And close. Now we're going to start the timer. 3 minutes aside. Okay, so it's been 3 minutes, and we are ready to flip it. Both of them. And look at that flame. Beautiful. Close. And now we are going to let it sit for another 3 minutes. The reason it's 3 minutes is just the way this braai works. Your braai might have a different temperature, and you may find that a 2-minute or a 4-minute period is better for your steak. Smoke alarm's going off. Okay, so 3 minutes on that side is just about done. Let's open it up and see what goodness is in store for us. Look at that. I'm going to shake it and get a bit of a flame on there. And then I'm going to turn it and shake it some more. Just get a little crispiness on there. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Wonderful. Flip it once more. And there we are. We are ready to take this off and plate it. All right, so let's pop the asparagus on there. I'm keeping it up at the same temperature, but these guys are super thin, so it's not going to be on there for long. In the meantime, I'm going to take the meat inside and let it rest. All right, so let's give it a quick turn. This asparagus, like I said, is very thin, so not so long, but we just want to give it a quick whirl, quick turn, and let's give it another few minutes. All right, so I think we're done enough on the asparagus. Give it one more quick whirl. Take a look at that. You're beginning to see some browning and blacking on there, which is brilliant. Perfect. I think we're good. We don't want to overcook this. It's very thin asparagus, and off it comes. Now this goes into the kitchen. Okay, so look at that. Pink on the inside. It's a little closer to medium than medium rare, but let's check it out. Beautiful, tender, juicy, and all those flavors, the salt and the pepper and the coriander, the roasted coriander, are just working together to make the steak taste amazing. You're not tasting them as individual elements. It's really just beautiful. Now the asparagus is still green. It still has that vibrant green, which is good. You don't want it to be too dark. It's still got a bit of holding. It's still got a bit of its shape. It's super crunchy. And you really just taste the subtlety of the taste of the asparagus without it being overpowered by anything else. All you're tasting here is the asparagus. You're not really tasting the salt or the pepper. That's exactly right.
I wasn't knowing any of that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Can you start that over?
From where was you on?
None of the inside stuff.
None of it?
No.
Wow. Okay. Are you sure you're rolling now? If really.
I'm just getting a shot.
You know who else is from Benoni? Charlize Theron. It's not Theron, it's Theron. My China Meshi, my China Nibs. Fucking Benoni bombers, boo.
Do it one more time?
No, I'm not doing it one more time. Now film me. Fucking Benoni, dude.